Welcome to the channel. Thank you to everyone for tuning in. Today we're looking at the Addiesdive AD2066. Now, this particular style of watch has been done to death on AliExpress. Now, in terms of Addiesdive watch dives, they've all done some kind of version of this. Addiesdive themselves have used this case previously, and again, they've done so many different variations. But it was this particular variation that stood out to me. I'm pretty positive I've reviewed one of the other watches with a similar base. But as I was saying, there's this particular version that did stand out to me, and the main thing was just this dial color. This is a mint green dial. They also do a grey and they also do a white, but for me this mint green does really stand out. It's like a pastel green. It's quite muted, slightly pale, but it does give you a really understated look. When I tell you the price, this is under £40, which is ridiculous when you actually look at the prices of watches. And this one is £40 with a whole host of features and specifications which you cannot get from the normal commercial market. So with this particular color on the dial, I think the watch looks quite good. As I said, very understated, and it's actually surprised me with some of the smaller details that I've found on this particular watch. Now, obviously, it's not a new release. It's been out for a good while. So there's a lot of orders on AliExpress. There's a lot of reviews on this as well. So I'm going to keep this one short and sweet. Now, I'll put the specifications and dimensions on screen. Now, this watch does not feature a sapphire crystal. It features a mineral glass. It also uses the Seiko VH31 hybrid quartz movement. And it's an extremely popular movement. Good crossover between a automatic and a quartz movement. Now, the website does state this is a 36mm, but the measurements I was getting on the diameter was more closer to 37mm, but the rest are correct, right? Very compact lug to lug. It also features female end links, and the thickness is around 11mm, which, for a watch of this style and type, it's a really good all-round watch. Now, a few things which stood out, which I thought are really good on this watch. As I mentioned, that dial color, this is the main thing which made me kind of buy this. It's a lovely shade of green, but also the hour markers, they are polished, really well placed, and also tapered. Now, as well as the hour markers, surprisingly, the handset is awesome at this low price. If you take a look at these hands, you do have nice tapered hands, but you also got a very small amount of micro detailing on there, which is quite impressive. I haven't really seen micro detailing at this price. You've got some horizontal brushing just on either side of that loom slither, and you also got polished bevels on the hands. Another thing which I also like on this dial is just the detail around it. If you take a look at the hour markers, you've got these concentric circles which kind of split that dial up closer to the chapter ring. The loom is incredible as well. Pagani design can't really get the loom right, and it's been a while since I looked at Pagani, so I don't know if they made it better, but my last memories of Pagani were really poor loom, as everybody knows, but this loom is pretty decent considering the slithers are so slim. Yeah, you can't complain, guys. 40 quid, you're getting a hell of a lot for your money. Even with such a low price point, it's good to see that level of attention to detail. Now, regarding the case, there's nothing exceptional here. It's one of the normal cases that we've seen, and we've seen these cases time and time again. You've got circular brushing along the lugs, and it's fairly well done, decent, soft. It's not really coarse in grain, and of course, you've got those polished sides which you get on the cases. What I do like about this particular case is that bezel. It is polished, sloped, but I like how slim it is. If you go back to one of the earlier releases of these style of cases, I found those bezels were a little too thick, but I do really like these slimmer bezels on the case. It really helps the watch case look just that little bit better. The crown is signed, and it's around 6mm, which is not a bad size on paper. However, with the design of the watch, it is quite awkward to get to. But being a quartz, you're not really going to keep opening and closing the crown. You're going to do it only once to set the time. Now, the watches have a screw-down case back and a screw-down crown, which gives you that 100 meters of water resistance, which is more than adequate for your daily wear. Obviously, don't take it swimming. Now, you've also got male end links, and you've got push pins in the bracelet, and you've also got a rather short but very proportionate 6 micro adjustment clasp with milled internals. And going back again to that low price point of £40, you can't complain. They've ticked all the boxes for those functional aspects, in my opinion, and even with regard to the finishing, it isn't that bad. I mean, it's not satin brushing. You can clearly see the grain. It is a little coarse than satin brushing, but it's very smooth. It's quite even and very consistent. There's no real sharp edges to the watch as well. And as I said, the clasp even features polished bevels. And I've seen watches that don't have these features which cost twice as much as this. I think what will make it a bit more awkward is that 19mm lug width. Should have stuck to 20, but I realized the lugs are quite slim. So even with that 19, it's going to be just a little bit more awkward to source a leather strap, which I think paired with this pastel green dial, it'll be a beautiful combination. Now on wrist, it's going to wear incredibly well. I've got a 6.5-inch wrist, and those dimensions are perfectly suited for my wrist size. Yeah, incredible looking watch. The majority of it is brushed, so you're not going to see any fingerprints, etc. You are going to see fingerprints around the bezel or the sides, which is absolutely normal. For me, the main thing goes back to that dial. The dial is very impressive for the price point. The main thing I want you guys to take away from this is that for that £38, this watch does not look like a £38 watch. It does not feel like a £38 watch, and more importantly, it does not come across as that as well. So that's it from me today, guys. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.